What's going on, everyone? So, as we inch closer to training camp and the NBA season, tomorrow is Media Day. Well, depending on when you watch this video, Media Day may already be here and it may have already passed. But nonetheless, I'm going through the players, and the next one I want to talk about is Taurean Prince. I love the Taurean Prince signing, and I think he has the potential to be a real impact player for the Lakers this year. He was that in many ways, pretty much every stint he's gone to. He is your prototypical 3-and-D style, hustle, get after it, do the dirty work type player. Every team, especially a championship level team, needs a Taurean Prince. Think of like Trevor Ariza when we won type thing, right? This is a guy that is going to buy into his role, play whatever is asked of him, a guy that can shoot at a high level, high efficiency, a guy that doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective, and a guy that I think a lot of his impact won't show up in the box score. This is a guy that basically can play and defend 1 through 4. Maybe not play the 1 as much as defend it, but this is a guy that can absolutely defend the 1 through 4 spot. He's a guy that you could play basically 2 through 4, and I do imagine he plays in various positions this season for the Lakers. But in general, this is a guy that you can trust in big moments. And I've even talked about, I don't hate the idea of him being the closer for the Lakers. I definitely don't see him starting. But I wouldn't hate if, even if you moved, say, Reeves to the point and put Prince at the 2 with Vando, LeBron, and AD, especially if Vando is much more improved on the offensive side, hitting that corner 3 ball, then now you have a legit great 3-and-D defensive style lineup where Austin Reeves and LeBron James could be the primary ball handlers. Let's say Vando is a bit of a liability again on the offensive side. I love that we could use Taurean Prince. He's not the elite level defender that Jared Vanderbilt is, but he's good enough to make an impact. This is a guy that also isn't afraid of the moment, that can hit big shots in big moments and won't fold. He was doing it all year last year for Minnesota. He did it against us, right? Remember that playing game? He was hitting just daggers at times. And it just was like, come on, man. This is a guy that, again, the box score is not going to jump out at you, right? If you watch him play, you know all the things that I'm talking about. How this guy just gets after it. He hustles, he grinds. He is swarming at times when he's bought in and focused. He was a huge factor for the Minnesota Timberwolves last year. He played 22 minutes per game for them in 54 games. We basically swapped him with Troy Brown Jr., which I like Troy Brown. I know a lot of Lakers nations were kind of in between on him. Some people loved him, some people didn't. But that guy was one of our most consistent guys, and he was 23 years old last year. I would have loved to have kept him long term as a backup shooting guard for the future. But regardless, I love Taurean Prince now for this team. We have plenty of youth, plenty of depth, plenty of guys that are going to be a part of this roster for the long term. I wouldn't even mind if Taurean Prince is one of those guys that's a part of this roster for the long term. But regardless, you need those veteran, experienced guys, right? You need a guy that can come in and kind of be the equalizer, the calming in the storm, right? With a lot of young guys comes a lot of inexperience in big moments and times. You have LeBron James, you have Anthony Davis. That's very significant. That's very important. They have the wear and tear, especially LeBron James. But it would be nice to have a guy in Taurean Prince that he's been to the playoffs with the Atlanta Hawks. He's been to the playoffs with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's played in 16 games and started 7 of those 16. This is a guy that's played 22 minutes per game in the regular season, shot 45% career from the field, but also was 38% from 3 on 4.2 attempts last year for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that was in the playoffs. But even if you translate him to the regular season, he's still just as good, right? Played 54 games, 22 minutes per game. He shot 46.7% on 7 field goal attempts per game. He shot 38.1% on 3.6 attempts per game. And shot from 55.7% with an EFG of 56.5. Good free throw shooter, 84 38.4%, gives you a couple rebounds per game, give you a couple assists per game, give you like a steal and a block per game, takes care of the ball, handles it. Like, again, the Lakers got a guy that can be a glue and sort of foundation piece, stabilizer for this season. And again, you need those guys. And this is a guy that, and look, 38.1% was not like an outlier. So the previous year before that, he shot 37.6% on 3.3 attempts. With the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2020, 2021, he shot almost 42% from three. That would be beautiful if he could get back to that percentage. Shot 41.5% from three on 4 attempts per game. It's actually kind of funny, like if you look at just like his track record as far as his field goal percentage, the more he takes, the better he is. So like he shot 4 attempts on 40% in 2020, 2021 between the Nets and the Cavs. But then like you look previous to that, on 5 attempts per game, he was like 50, almost 50%. On 6.3 attempts per game, he was 47%. Like the guy can shoot the ball is the point. And you need those guys. And that's one of the things that I love about this Lakers roster this year is we have a lot of guys that can hit the 3 ball at an efficient clip. Now, there is the concern of the old Lakers. Lakers go and sign a guy that's 38%, comes to Lakers, and all of a sudden he's 32%, right? And that's never fun. But Taurean Prince is also going to play on a roster unlike anything he's ever played on before, right? You're talking about a roster with a team that has a LeBron James that's going to give him precision passes exactly where he needs it, right in his shooting pocket. A guy that is going to get more open looks from 3 than he's probably ever gotten in his career because teams are so concerned with a LeBron James, with an Anthony Davis, even Austin Reeves creating and playmaking, D'Angelo Russell creating and playmaking, even a Christian Wood. Like Taurean Prince being a guy that can just kind of be tucked away in the corner and forgot about. That dude is going to catch a lot of catch and shoot threes, and I really do think is going to have an impact this year. But it's more so like just the veteran presence is what I like from him, right? Because, again, you need that. You need a nice balance, right? Name me a team that has ever won a championship without any vets. It hasn't happened, right? You need those. Even the Lakers in the 2020 season. Right? You had LeBron James, you had Anthony Davis, obviously, but you also had Jared Dudley, you had Rajon Rondo, you had like Avery Bradley. Like you had other guys that had kind of been there and done that, right? I love like the Taurean Princes, even like a Gabe Vincent to an extent, right? He doesn't have the years of like NBA experience. He hasn't been in the league 20 years or whatever, but he has the mileage, which is what I like. The experience and opportunity, right? He's a guy that was the starting point guard on an NBA Finals roster, right? Taurean Prince, yes, he wasn't on a legit contending roster, but he was on a roster that was good enough to at least be competitive, give us problems, and be a key contributor and factor in the playoffs. And Minnesota wasn't losing because of him, right? He was, again, huge, right? Those guys, the Gabe Vincents, the Taurean Princes, I think are so important for the Lakers, right? Because they have the mileage, they have the understanding, they will do the grind and the dirty work that comes with the game of basketball. They're the ones that game in and game out, you can trust and rely in big moments, in key moments that can get a stop, that'll dive for the loose ball, that will make the hard play, that'll set the tough screen, that'll take the charge, like whatever it is. That's what Taurean Prince is going to be for the Lakers. And I just like, obviously now we got this roster that is just stacked with perimeter guys. So I don't know how much he will play. Like when we first got him, it was just like him, Rui, and Vando. So it was like, oh, perfect. Like, this dude's probably going to play 25, 30 minutes a game. You have LeBron, obviously, but you can put LeBron pretty much anywhere. Like, if you need to free up minutes, you could go positionless, right? You could even have a lineup if you wanted to of, like, LeBron at the point for point guard's sake, or actually have him play the point guard. or position sake, but you could have like him, Prince, Vando, Rui, and AD, or Wood, or whatever, right? Like, it just gives you so much flexibility. This is a guy that can be a part of a small ball lineup if you wanted to go and still be big, right? Like, you could go with like a D'Lo, Reeves, Prince, Vincent, whatever, right? And still, you'd have everybody. Your smallest guy would be Vincent at like 6'3", but everyone else is 6'5" and above. And then you got a Taurean Prince who's like 6'7" or whatever, right? Or he could be a part of your big lineup. He could be part of a shooting lineup, right? He's one of like the just chameleon-like players. And like Taurean Prince is one of those guys, I think that's probably the best way to put it. Taurean Prince is one of those guys that you could put on any roster in the league, and he knows his role, he knows what needs to be done on his behalf, and can fit on any roster. He's not going to cause a problem in the locker room. He's not going to be crying and complaining on the sidelines, right? You need him to play 30 minutes, no problem, coach. You need me to play 15 minutes, no problem, coach. Whatever you need, as long as we get the win and as long as we get the job done. That's what Taurean Prince provides the Lakers. And you need those guys. There's very few guys that can fit anywhere, right? And what I mean by fitting anywhere, I mean by like the entire package, right? Be a presence in the locker room, do whatever's needed for you, play both sides of the basketball, right? You can't just throw anybody on any roster. Taurean Prince is one of those guys you can't. And I think he has a really big impact for the Lakers this year. But as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think this is a guy that's going to have a huge impact for the Lakers this year? Do you think, he'll be just kind of another guy on the court? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments.